Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like and share our content. We continue to enjoy the support. Just to give you an update here on the happenings on the collegiate circuit this evening, more specifically from the SEC championships at Auburn University, where a number of Caribbean athletes actually made their mark today in a very big way. And you will hear why as we proceed. Starting with probably the biggest achievement tonight from an individual athlete is the performance of Adaejah Oakley, who, if you remember, was a member of Jamaica's team to the World Championships last year in Tokyo, where Jamaica came back with a silver medal. Oakley has been outstanding on the circuit so far this year, collegiately, running well indoors and outdoors, even though she had some struggles along the way. Tonight, she became the second fastest Jamaican ever over 400 meters and the fastest in the world for 2026 when she ran 48.92 seconds to win the SEC title. Now, let me just put that into some context for you. 48.92 puts her just 0.03 seconds outside of the record that was set in 2024 by Nikisha Price, also of Jamaica, who was running for Arkansas at the time. So Oakley's time is 0.03 seconds outside of that record. It makes her only the second Jamaican woman to break 48 seconds in the 400 meters. Once ratified, it will be the world beat for 2026. But further context on this is that had she run that time at the World Championships last year, she would have come fourth. That's how the women have been running fast in the 400 these past years. Of course, Sidney McLaughlin ran 47.7, and of course, Paulina 47.9, and Salwa Nasser ran 48.19 for third in Tokyo last year. So Adaejah Oakley's 48.92 is impressive. First one under 49 seconds this year. Second woman from Jamaica all time to run that time, run that fast. And it all goes well for Jamaica's 400-meter women because, as you said, Nikisha Price today, we saw Stacey and Williams again run 50.5. I think it was today as well. So good look. Of course, second in that race was Kaylin Brown, ran 49.54. She was actually in the mix coming home, but it was Jamisa Ford who was ahead before Adaejah ran her down and passed her and beat her by yards. Of course, Sanara Butler was third in 50.22. Ford eventually finished fourth in 50.44. Now let's switch events for a little bit. Well, Samuel Ogazi ran from Nigeria. He ran 43.95 to win the 400 meters on the men's side of things. So let's talk a little bit now about Gabrielle Matthews. She's a Florida Gator. And she has been knocking on the door. She was one of those ladies who I remember in a previous video mentioned could be among the next Jamaican women to break 11 seconds this year. Prior to today, 8 Jamaican women had broken 11 seconds in 2026. She became the 9th, winning the 100 in 10.97 for a brand new personal best, and of course joins the conversation in terms of those Jamaican women who are running fast this year. Of course, Alicia Burnett pushed her to the line. It was second 11.01. Matthews eventually came back and ran fourth in the 200 and 22.56. A time I think she'd be disappointed with because her previous best coming in was 22.41, and she's clearly in good shape. So something apparently went wrong. If I can get her on the channel finally, I'll ask her about it. I've been asking, but she's been waffling. So I'm hoping that eventually she will agree to coming on to talk about her performances this season because she's actually been impressive as well. Shifting to the 200 women, we all know Adaejah Hodge's credentials as a 200-meter runner. Back in 2022, she was the Austin Seeley Award winner at the National Stadium in Kingston, winning the 100, 200, and long jump. and she's been impressive. I think she won indoors at SEC's, I think 22-1, I think it was she ran, and she has been world class, basically. Well, today she took it a level further because she ran 21.92 to win the 200 comfortably ahead of Shantae Jackson, who ran 22.33 for second. I mean, Shantae Jackson, remember Bertrand Jackson's daughter, very talented. But of course, Adaejah Hodge is something else. And so Adaejah is continuing to do amazing things on the track and certainly looking to be even more impressive when it comes on to the global level, because that's where eventually she's headed, obviously. And she's looking right now 21.92, I think, is within the top 3 fastest times in the world this year. Now, let's shift a little bit to the 800s, because Jamaica has been doing pretty well in the 800s with Navaski Anderson, of course, Tyrese Taylor, Rivaldo Marshall. Yeah, they're the top 3 Jamaicans of all time, actually, in 800 meters. Rivaldo Marshall continued to lay that legacy down today when he won the 800 in 1:45.21 seconds ahead of Peter Norumbe. Now, the surprise for me is that Tyrese Taylor didn't finish second or win, because they've been 1-2 basically all year, but Tyrese Taylor finished third in 1:45.71. Obviously, you can see where Rivaldo Marshall and Tyrese Taylor are trending towards being more consistent. They both ran 1:44 earlier this season. I think Rivaldo ran 1:44.15 and Tyrese ran 1:44.75, I believe it was. I think it was at their first outdoor meet this season. So clearly they are now on track to be more consistent and get those times down below 1:45 into the 1:44s. And eventually 1:43s down even faster, because Tyrese already has run 1:43.7, Navaski 1:42.7. So it's now for Rivaldo to get down into that level with them. In the sprint hurdle, Jerome Campbell was fourth in 13.37. I'm sure he would be disappointed with the time. He ran 13.33 in the preliminary round, and probably should be expecting to go faster. That race was run by Jacoby Tharp in 13:05. And of course, as we know, Tharp is an outstanding sprinter. Of course, did very well at the World Championship last year for the United States. So, the final event I want to talk about it just because he won the sprint double. And there's Jelani Watkins, who ran the 100, 109.95, and then came back to take the 200 in 19.87, capping a wonderful championships for him. And of course, maybe announcing himself as maybe one of the next big things coming out of the United States, along with Jordan Anthony, could be running fast this year. 9.95 puts him within the top 10 in the world this year. So clearly, he's ready to take on the world if he so chooses to do. We will have more on this tomorrow, because the ACC championships were delayed by rain for about 3 hours. What I can tell you is that Shanice Walker won the 111.07. Remember, she was second to Adaejah Hodge in 100 earlier this season. Hodge winning in 10.77. And of course, Shanice running 10.80 seconds for second, which puts her number 5 all time on the NCAA level and the fastest from Florida State University. And so it's been a good year for Shanice. As you know, she won the NCAA's indoor title over 60 meters earlier this year. So she's on a good trajectory for someone who's going to go pro. She's graduated, so she finishes school this year. So let's see what happens after June. She says she's going to the Commonwealth. She wants to go to the Commonwealth Games. If she can replicate that 10.80 seconds or close to it, she'll be on the team to Glasgow. But tomorrow I'll have more for you from the ACC championships, because also Shantae Foreman also did well. I think she jumped a personal best in the long jump, and she was also in the 100-meter finals. I'll have more detail on that tomorrow when we put up another video to wrap up that championships. on this channel. So until then, this is Lee saying goodbye for now. See you tomorrow on the Mr. Analyst channel. Bye.